Welcome back to Coast Vue. I really enjoyed that conversation with Christopher Deback, the assistant police chief for the city of Biloxi. So many dedicated first responders and leaders in this arena, and it's a pleasure of mine to be able to bring all of them to you, or at least the key folks to you from multiple cities here on Coast Vue as we celebrate them. Now we're going to shift gears and move over to my old friend, Chief Nick Geiser from the Biloxi Police Department. I went and checked, Nick. As I said to you before the show started, it's been a year since we visited. I mean, it's amazing that a year has passed, but I really enjoyed that visit. How you had just been appointed the chief there at the fire department. How's it going?
Great. It's first year is always a learning curve because like the old adage, you don't know what you don't know. So it's been a learning year. We've purchased the mayor and city council allowed us to purchase 3 new fire trucks. They should be in towards the beginning of 2023. We're anticipating February, March timeframe. They're going to go out to replace the older trucks in the Wool Market area. So each fire truck gets about a 20-year lifespan. We obviously annexed in that area back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So we're coming to their end of life, the current trucks. But we're excited. We're excited about, updating those trucks because, of course, with everything else, technology continues to progress, even in fire trucks. And we're updating several different things there. And one of them is going to be right there in the area of Biloxi High, all the Biloxi schools. So we're having the Biloxi Schools emblem put on that one. It'll be kind of a recruitment tool, a way to go sit at the football games and baseball games and kind of get a little bit of our support towards the school system.
Listen, I remember our conversation so well. It's amazing how looking at your face just kind of conjures up all that we talked about. But you joined the department in 2004, if I remember this right. And the reason I remember it so well is that you had joined the department just a year before Katrina, and less than a year before Katrina. Katrina hits, and you literally cut your teeth as a fireman in the post-Katrina world. And you and I had a lot of conversations about how the experience of rescuing people and then not being able to rescue people when the storm got to a certain point, and then all the search and recovery that happened afterwards, and having to unfortunately see so many people that perished during the storm, and how that changes you as a firefighter. And of course, you went on to have very significant leadership roles along the way, safety among them, training among them. And so you had a real good background in all that, and it helps to have literally cut your teeth in the worst natural disaster in American history. It makes you a stronger leader when you're in that situation. That's what we talked about. But it's probably helped you now that you've been in the job for a year. It probably has helped you in so many ways that you're able to convey to people. It's just part of your story, isn't it?
Yes, sir. So from a leadership aspect, going through that time as a new firefighter, I was fortunate to be with some great leaders at the time. Former Chief Boney, he was my battalion chief. He pretty much led the east end of town. My captain was Andy Mason. He is my ops chief here. Does a fantastic job. And then the rest of the admin staff here all came through that time. So we all, are able to relate on that aspect, and it really opens your eyes. One, it made us realize that the needs of the city on a greater scale, especially during a disaster like that. It also helped us to try to predict the future. You never know what the future holds. I mean, obviously nobody predicted that to happen. But it does give us a little bit better of a basis to anticipate these purchases, like the trucks that we're purchasing now. The equipment that we purchase is almost all geared towards what could possibly happen, not just the immediate reaction. We're trying to be more proactive towards it.
Yeah, I wondered, it's interesting, and we'll get to some of these items that we're going to talk about here shortly. But when you watch something like Hurricane Ian go into an area south of Tampa that hadn't been hit by a big storm like that before, in some respects, certainly it wasn't Katrina, but it did bring water into areas that never flooded before. And it probably, you think, gosh, as a nation, we got to do a better job of communicating with people what is possible, because the majority of the people who died in that storm drowned, and it's like history repeating itself. I'm just curious, as a police chief that went through that experience, and you watch something like that unfold, and with Hurricane Ian down in Florida, does it frustrate you, or do you think about it, or what goes through your mind?
It doesn't really frustrate me. We understand. One of the biggest problems with Katrina, the word was out. Get out of low-lying areas. The problem is that you set a standard, and it's human nature. A lot of our older population that had gone through Camille, they had been told there is never going to be another Camille, that sort of thing. And the house that they may have been in was not flooded, didn't take on any water. And then, Katrina piled 8 more feet of water on top of what Camille had done. So I understand it. It's more of a, you wish you could do better. But it's one thing that, just do better getting the word out, do better making people aware. But in these tourist areas, you've got so much of an influx of people from out of the region. Some heed the warnings, and then some listen to neighbors that say, "Oh no, you're never going to see another Katrina," and you hate it. But you're never going to change that, I don't think.
Yeah, you know what it is, though. What it is, it's a great reminder to us here in this community to don't see. The more time that passes, the more the memory fades, and more new people come to the community don't have any memory about it, and it just puts more onus on us who are in roles to communicate with the public around situations like that, to just do everything in our power to help them understand and get educated so they can make the best decisions. Because usually the decision is being made based on bad information. Like AJ Holloway said many times that Camille killed more people in 2005 than it killed in 1969, because people made decisions. So many in Biloxi made decisions to stay, and way too many were killed as a result of that. We'll move on. I'm just curious. You heard you had the opportunity, and by the way, during the break, it was cool to see Nick and Christopher, kind of chat with each other. Obviously, they have tremendous respect for each other. They like each other. You can tell just from the conversation they were having. But recruiting is something we talked about before. Certainly, Christopher DeBack and I talked about it just a few minutes ago. But how's recruiting going for you these days at the fire department?
It's a challenge, with any public service industry right now. We're not quite in the same situation as the police department, due to, their misfortune of having a lot of the movements of the defund the police and that sort of thing. I think our problem is getting the word out about the aspects of our job, how rewarding it is, the other opportunities that it presents through a lot of the fields. Fire department has basically had to reinvent itself because of building codes and fire codes that have been instituted, which are great. So we might call ourselves a fire department, but we are not fighting fire as much as we used to. We are more of a medical service, more of a rescue service. But that comes with a lot of opportunities to reach out into other areas and really have a rewarding training experience through all of what we do. But yeah, as far as recruitment, we're having to reinvent the wheel to an extent. My assistant chief, Jason Earl Davis, he has taken the bull by the horns, and he is doing a fantastic job. So he's keeping our numbers to where it's manageable. It doesn't take quite as long to, in fact, it takes about a quarter of the time that it used to back in the early 2000s to get on the fire department. We've done several things. Civil service has been great. Admin up at City Hall has been great, helping us kind of progress into the 21st century of of the new generation and the way they see a career, a job. There's a whole different aspect. They don't look at things like me and you and different ones from different generations looked at it when they were looking at a career.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm surprised that I didn't remember this. Of course, it was a year ago, but not long after you and I spoke, I had an emergency at my house. My granddaughter stopped breathing, and you may remember I was a paramedic at one time, and she had an unfortunate ailment that was manifesting itself in the way that it literally stopped her from breathing. And I did mouth to mouth on her, and eventually she started to breathe again. But two different, when they heard a child not breathing, you guys dispatched a couple of different stations to my house. And of course, when they got here, they saw that she was breathing. Obviously, they were incredibly relieved. She was still obviously in very serious condition and needed to get to the hospital quickly. But man, I was amazed at how quickly they got there, how professional they were. And then, of course, when she got out of the hospital, we went by to see the houses just so that they could see her and see because unfortunately, in a situation like that, it can be incredibly critical. And unfortunately, you can see some really dire situations, and it really worked out well in this case. And I appreciate you guys and professionalism you showed me and my family during that time. So, hey, listen, when we come back on the other side, we'll continue our conversation with Nick Geiser, the fire chief for the city of Biloxi. We'll see you after this break. Welcome back to Coast Vue. I have my friend Nick Geiser, who's the chief of fire department for the city of Biloxi. And hey, listen, we're going to talk about holiday cooking safety, which, by the way, frying turkeys is extremely dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. We'll talk about that real quick. But tell me about Blaze.
Oh, okay. Blaze, he is he is kind of a personal family dog / the fire dog. He, of course, goes back and forth from my home to the office on almost every day. The only reason he is not here right now is because he's getting his hair done. So he is a Labradoodle, about a 70-pound Labradoodle. He's just a big goofball. But man, it's been a pleasure having him around here. All of the office staff here loves him. They all keep treats in their desk, and he likes to sneak off. And if he can get out the front door, he goes and visits our police brothers and sisters over there, and he will be in all kinds of offices just weaving in and out. And they'll come back asking me if I lost something. But he is a character. He is a big furry. Looks like a Muppet almost.
Well, it's an appropriate name, but it's also a cool name, Blaze. It just sounds like some kind of superhero. Hey, you heard what I said to me. If you're on Instagram, you can see these little short clips come across, kind of randomly from time to time, showing someone dropping a turkey into boiling vat of grease, and it just absolutely erupts and fire. But you would think by now people would really understand how to do that right. You can just watch a YouTube video and you can see what to be concerned about. But inevitably, you guys deal with it, don't you?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, it's I wouldn't say it's every year now. It seems like every year we hear something happening coastwide. Might not necessarily be Biloxi every year. But yeah, unfortunately, believe me, I love fried turkey more than anybody. But it is one of the most dangerous ways to cook a turkey, and really where people get in trouble is having it in, say, like a covered area in a garage, in a carport. Typically you have the issues that you see on like your YouTube videos where it does erupt. If it's out in a yard, you're going to scorch your grass, that sort of thing. Might even catch a tree on fire if you're near some shrubbery or trees. But we've even had some of our own firefighters that have almost burned down the house because they had it. It was raining, something along those lines. Of course, you don't want to have hot boiling liquid in the rain, so they move it under, and then they place that turkey, and there's just that moisture that causes that reaction, and it's a bad business. So we always try to caution people on frying turkeys.
Yeah, one of the key things is make sure, if you're going to do it, make sure it's de-thawed. I mean, that's one of the main things. People put a frozen turkey, and you pointed out it was the moisture. It reacts to that grease, and it could be incredibly violent response.
Yes, yeah, and a lot of times it isn't the house burning down; it's you burning yourself. And
yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure many people have had just a little speck of that grease pop on their arm. But it is never a nice thing getting boiling grease.
No, actually, hey, listen, when I was in paramedic school at the University of Alabama in Birmingham, we were the burn center for the Southeast at that time. And we would all, as part of our paramedic training, we were on call. And when a bad burn patient would come in, we would go in, and the debriding process is part of the healing process. And, I saw, usually it was someone trying to light maybe back in those days, the charcoal lighter was a lot more dangerous. Still dangerous. Don't get me wrong. Very dangerous, but people would use gasoline, or maybe charcoal lighter was much more, I don't know what the word is, flammable back in those days. But man, someone would take a can of Pam, and it would blow up and just scatter all over. You can never take being around fire for granted. You have got to always be on your guard. And I see what the result of that looks like, and you have too. And it is life-changing.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's from what I understand, I have never been burnt to the extent that I've had to have medical treatment for it. But the ones that have said it is one of the worst pains that they have ever experienced. And it's not so much the initial, because the burn, once it gets severe enough, it severs those nerve endings. But it's like you said, the debriding, the just general care of trying to get that skin to grow back, the grafts and everything else. It's just a long, extensive process, and most of it's painful.
Very, very painful. When you think about, as we come to the end of the show together, as people enter the holidays, this winter time, what advice you have them about keeping the house safe?
I always try to say, use your common sense. If it doesn't look right, if you're in a hurry, maybe take that extra little step. Of course, natural gas, propane gas, things. A lot of times a rag gets set down and the wrong burner turned on, or like we've talked about the turkeys or other cooking methods. Your charcoal grills, like you talked about, using lighter fluid on the charcoal, trying to speed up the process. In my opinion, a lot of the problems are people getting in a hurry, got a lot going on. If you can just start an hour early, 30 minutes early, whatever you feel, that's a lot of the problem. That would help a lot of the problems.
Slow down and use common sense. That usually is the thing that will save a lot of people and a lot of houses, actually. This has been the Chief of Fire for the City of Biloxi, Nick Geiser, and I look forward to visiting with you again. It's been a pleasure, my friend.
Yes, sir. My pleasure.
Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.